Do you wish you could speed up your weight loss and avoid all the costly mistakes that slow down progress? Well, I've coached over 17,000 people with their fat loss, and I've gotten myself into pretty decent shape as well. And in this video, I'm going to cover how to make losing weight seem effortless, what are some of the BS diets you should avoid, and the biggest cheat codes I've used with my clients to lose anywhere from 20 to 100 plus pounds so that you can steal them and use them on your journey as well. Lesson number 1, what to do with your trigger foods. We all have those 1 or 2 foods that we just cannot control ourselves with when we're trying to stay consistent with a diet. For me, it's Ben & Jerry's ice cream. That shit is so damn good. And the mistake people make is, right now you're keeping these tempting foods somewhere in your house. This is causing you to have to use a ton of your willpower, which you only have but so much willpower in a given day. Eventually, you are going to snap, and you're gonna have these trigger foods and end up going way off track with your diet. So instead of doing that, for right now, keep these trigger foods out of the house. One of my coaches who works on my team, Coach Linda, her trigger food was Nutella. And at first, she could not have it in her house. She told her husband and her kids, do not buy it, do not bring it in here, because she was really trying to get serious about losing fat and changing her health. And she was able to be successful because she didn't have to use a ton of her willpower trying to say no to it every single day. If you've ever heard that saying, out of sight, out of mind, I want to tweak that a little bit. Out of sight, out of mouth. Your willpower can be your highest when your environment is set up for success. So keep them out of the house, or do lesson number 2 that we're about to talk about right now. Lesson number 2, find alternatives to your trigger foods. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not saying you should completely cut out all the foods you enjoy, because that will drive you crazy and it will lead you to binge on them later. So what you may be able to do instead is find alternatives to your favorite foods. For example, I am a guy who loves ice cream, but ice cream is a higher calorie food. So here's what I do. I find lower calorie options for my ice cream. And this video is not sponsored by these people, but Halo Top ice cream is really damn good. For a whole pint, it's 300 calories. This can allow me to have my favorite foods in a lower calorie option. Or I make a Ninja Creamy, which is basically just protein ice cream, so I can get my ice cream fix for high protein, low calorie. Or I may even do Greek yogurt with frozen fruit and sugar-free syrup, because I am somebody who has a sweet tooth. But doing this is a low-calorie, high-protein sweet snack I can do instead of going to eat 800 calories on sweets. These alternative and substitutions allow me to feel less deprived on my calorie deficit when I'm trying to lose weight, which allows me to hate my diet much less and stay that much more consistent. And if you do this combined with our next lesson number 3, you'll control your cravings a lot more. Lesson number 3, drink water and something else. You've probably heard if you want to lose weight, you should drink water, which fine. But most people miss adding something to their water that is critical if you want to fight off hunger, have more energy, and way less cravings for sugar and junk food. When you just drink water, you actually pee out a lot of your electrolytes. One of the main electrolytes is sodium. Once you pee out your sodium and you pee out your electrolytes, you actually get more dehydrated, which is going to lead to more hunger, more cravings, more headaches, more fatigue. So what we can do instead is drink at least 10 to 20 ounces of water in the morning within an hour of waking up, but you also want to add some salt to that water. Now, you don't need a ton, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon to a 1/2 teaspoon max. But when you start your day off with this, you are hydrating your body, which will lead to less hunger, cravings, better workouts, better mood, better energy. And if you're skeptical, I would encourage you to at least try it for a week. You will feel the difference almost immediately in workouts and in your hunger and cravings. And there's also something else you can drink for your hunger and your cravings, which we'll touch in lesson number 4. Lesson number 4, specific drinks to suppress your appetite. And no, I'm not going to be talking about some crazy apple cider vinegar or turmeric or cinnamon or anything crazy like that. In fact, some of you may already be drinking this to begin with. If you're somebody who drinks coffee, I'll be honest, I hate coffee. I hate the smell. I hate the taste. I don't drink it. I never have drank it in my entire life. I know it's a bit crazy, but it's true. But the coffee has caffeine in it. And especially earlier in the day, if you have some sort of caffeine, you can usually suppress your appetite until later in the day. And you may have already experienced this before if you're somebody who drinks coffee. But there's one more drink that most people don't know about that can really help you out, and that is some sort of carbonated drink. The carbonation inside fills up your stomach more, which can lead you to have less hunger and less cravings. And in fact, when you pair it with some sort of caffeine as well, you can delay the process of you getting hungry. Now, am I telling you to just go slam pots of coffee and energy drinks? No, probably not. But having maybe 1 to 200 milligrams of caffeine during your day placed strategically can help with hunger, and maybe if you have one later around 11 a.m. or noon, or even just have like a sparkling water, for example, this can also help with your appetite levels, which of course will help you in a calorie deficit and lose weight. Speaking of weight, that's what we're going to talk about in our next lesson. You don't want to miss. Lesson number 5, how often to weigh yourself. Now, I know the scale can be an emotional trigger for a lot of people, but this is a mistake that I want you to work to correct, and I'm going to show you the way you can correct this, because if you let the scale dictate your emotions and your actions, then you are never going to be consistent enough to actually see the progress that you want to see. You have to treat and approach the scale from a logical approach as opposed to an emotional approach, and here's how we do that. Some people might tell you to only weigh yourself once a week, only weigh yourself once a month, or just never weigh yourself and go by how your clothes fit. And I'm not here to say what's right or what's wrong. I'm here to explain how I do things with the clients that we coach. I want you to take your body weight every single day. Yes, every single day, and let me explain why. On a day-to-day basis, you are going to have weight fluctuations, whether it be from hormones, whether it be from water, whether it be you have to use the restroom. So you have to get used to understanding your weight is going to fluctuate. But here's how you can approach it from a logical perspective. Take every single weigh-in over the course of the 7 days of the week, and then get the average of the 7 days. This way, it doesn't matter what you weighed on Monday versus Thursday. Take all the weigh-ins together and then get the average for that week. And then you do this for every week of the month, and then you can see from week 1 to week 4, are you trending down in the right direction with your weight? If you only weighed yourself once a week, you would only have 4 data points to pull from to see if you're going in the right direction. And because your scale is going to fluctuate, 4 data points really isn't that much to tell. But when you have 31 data points and you take the average of all of that, that's where you can see towards the beginning of the month versus towards the end of the month. Where were you at here? Where were you at there? Are you going in the right direction? And for most of our clients, this actually helps them gain a healthier relationship with the scale and a healthier relationship with their body weight, which this isn't just about losing weight. This is about building healthy and sustainable habits, which is actually a perfect segue into our next lesson about building some healthy habits with your nutrition in particular. Lesson number 6, Calories versus macros. If you don't know what macros are just short for macronutrients, and these are your three main macronutrients: protein, carbs, and fats. And some people will tell you to only track your calories. Some people will tell you to only track your macros. Some people will tell you to do both. But here's a common mistake that I see people make that ruins their progress, and how we can fix that. Most people, when they're trying to start losing body fat and stay consistent, tracking calories is overwhelming enough as itself. You have to weigh your food, you have to use an app, you have to make sure you're tracking and remembering everything. And then on top of that, trying to play Tetris with your macros and hit your protein perfectly and your carbs and your fats perfectly, it just ends up overwhelming people, and it causes you to say, fuck it, I'd rather be fat, I'm not doing this. So instead of overwhelming yourself, and instead of setting yourself up for failure by trying to hit 4 things perfectly, what we have our clients do is track your overall calorie intake and track your overall protein intake. That's it. Don't worry about carbs. Don't worry about fats. Don't worry about sodium or if you ate fast food that day. Look at your calories and look at your protein. That's it. Because if you hit those 2 goals, you will lose body fat and gain muscle at the same time. And if you need to know what your calorie goal and your protein goal should be, there will be a free calorie calculator in the description of this video. Now, speaking of tracking calories, that actually goes into our next lesson. Lesson number 7, what to do about cheat meals. Now, first and foremost, let me be very clear. Most people define a cheat meal as a meal where they're having a food that is bad, or where they're having a meal or a day of meals that is higher calories, off track, and they're not going to hit their calorie goal for that day. Number 1, you're not doing anything wrong by having a burger or ice cream or French fries, because you're not a bodybuilder who's prepping for a bodybuilding show. You don't need to eat like they eat. As long as you hit your calories and as long as you hit your protein, you can still enjoy foods in moderation that you like. And as long as you hit those things, you're good. Or if, let's say, you do happen to go over your calories and overeat one day, that's okay as well, because you don't need to be 100% perfect in order to lose fat and see progress. So let's get rid of the cheat meal mentality. And instead, here's how I want you to think about cheat meals instead. Something that we incorporate with our clients and they see a ton of progress with it is when you're tracking calories, sometimes it just gets annoying. You have to grab your phone, you have to use the apps, you have to track your food. It can just get tiresome sometimes. So we tell people, have one meal a week or even potentially one day a week where you don't track your calories and input things into your app or your food logs. Now, this is not a day where you just go binge eat on everything that you want. This is a day where you simply take off of tracking to give yourself a mental break from that part of it and stick to your diet for the majority of the time. But if you have a meal out with your spouse or your partner or your friends, or if you eat just the same exact food you would normally eat, just not track it mentally, it can help you stay consistent over the long run because you're not getting so burnt out from tracking your calories. We have found this to be incredibly helpful for our clients like Nick here or Natalie here. And we've also found this next lesson to be incredibly helpful as well, based around boredom eating or emotional eating. Lesson number 8, actual hunger versus mindless snacking. A mistake I see a lot of people make with their weight loss is they are reaching for these snacks all throughout the day. Whether it's at work, in the candy cabinet, whether they're working from home and just grabbing bites and snacks all day, or maybe you're eating off of your kid's plate. Those can easily add up in your calorie intake, throwing you off of your calorie deficit. Or if, let's say, you're just bored and you have nothing else to keep your mind busy, a quick way to get out of that would be to snack on some yummy, delicious food. And so instead, we have our clients implement this one rule that I think might be able to help you as well. And that is going to be the fruit rule, and here's what that is. When you get into one of these modes where maybe you want to snack or you want to reach for something, ask yourself, are you hungry enough to eat a piece of fruit? An apple, an orange, a banana, whatever. If you are, then okay, maybe you're hungry. And at that point, I would get the apple or the fruit first before you eat your snacky foods, and here's why. Number one, fruits usually have good fiber, good nutrients, and they can help fill you up. So then if you do eat snacky foods after that, you will eat them in more moderation. And number two, it forces you just to be mindful and ask yourself if you're actually hungry or not. Because if you are not hungry enough to eat a piece of fruit, then you're probably not physically hungry, you're just bored, or emotional, or it's just out of routine, you're grabbing things to snack on. So utilize this fruit rule if you're somebody who struggles with snacking, and you can also utilize this next rule to make sure you can eat healthy, but also eat foods that you enjoy. Lesson number 9, if it grew in the ground, on a tree, or had a mom and dad. There's a few mistakes I see people make with their diet when they're trying to lose weight, and they usually fall on each of the extreme spectrums. Either you're trying to eat only clean, only healthy foods, and you think anything else is bad and you ruined your progress. Or maybe right now, all you're eating is ultra processed foods, you're not eating any whole foods, and you're on the other end of the extreme. This is a problem because when you live in the extremes, you are not going to make any sustainable progress. Going too extreme with clean and healthy eating is just going to cause you to binge later on. And then of course, only eating ultra processed, high calorie, sugary foods is not likely going to have you be in a calorie deficit. So instead of being here, we like to get our clients more in the middle of moderation. And how you can do that is this. I want you to think about your diet as 80% are coming from foods that either grew from the ground, grew on a tree, or had a mom and a dad. Because those three things mean they are nutrient-dense, whole foods that are not only going to provide you high protein, usually lower in calories, but they're going to provide minerals and nutrients to keep you fuller and more satisfied and just improve your health in general. So 80% can come from that, but the other 20% can still come from treats and things that you enjoy in moderation. Now, I know we talked about the trigger foods earlier, so you still may want to keep these trigger foods out for right now, but other foods, include them in the 20%. So this way, you don't feel deprived, you don't feel restricted, you can be more consistent with it, and you're still going to make great fat loss progress, but also be healthier in general. And the next lesson is also going to help you do that, even though you might not want to hear it. Lesson 10, what to do with alcohol. And yes, I know some of you may not want to hear this, but when alcohol is in your system, it actually stops the fat burning process, and here's why. Alcohol is a toxin to your body. So when alcohol is in your system, the number one thing your body is focused on is getting it out as quickly as possible. So losing fat and building muscle, those processes stop until the alcohol is out of your system. So does that mean you can't lose fat if you drink alcohol? Technically, no, because as long as you're in a calorie deficit, you can still lose fat while drinking alcohol. But here's how it may drastically slow down your progress. Number one, it adds calories that are not going to help keep you full and satisfied. And if you're drinking 3, 4, 5, 1,000 calories, it's going to be hard to stick to your calorie deficit. Number two, when you drink, you're usually not snacking on celery and carrots. You're usually also snacking on higher calorie foods. And number three, it lowers something called your inhibition, which you can just think of as your willpower. You do not make the best decisions when you are drunk. That's why you cannot drink and drive. So for all those reasons, it will become exponentially harder for you to lose fat if you are still drinking alcohol. So what we recommend to our clients is one of two things. Number one, limit your alcohol to 1 to 3 drinks per week max. Or number two, for a 30-day period of time, cut out alcohol. And I'm gonna get a little bit real with you. If you can't cut out alcohol for 30 days, I'm not joking when I say this, I would just potentially look into getting some expert help in that field. Because other than sleeping, breathing, eating, and drinking water, we should be able to cut out things for 30 days if they're not serving us the best. And if you do one of those two things, you will like the progress that you have seen from it. One of our clients, Victoria right here, she no longer drinks alcohol and she's made incredible progress. So I would encourage you to at least try it because I think you will like the results that it brings you. I also think you will like the results this next lesson is going to bring you as well. Lesson 11, make your first meal set up for success. Now you may have heard before, oh, breakfast is the most important meal of the day and you have to eat it. Or you may have heard that intermittent fasting is the best way to go and you shouldn't eat breakfast. Truly, there is not a right or a wrong answer here because again, as long as you are in the calorie deficit, that's what matters the most. But after coaching thousands of clients, I do have something I think can work best for you when you're trying to lose fat, and it's gonna be this. Within 1 to 2 hours of you waking up, start your day with a high protein, low carb, and medium fat breakfast. And so this could look like 2 whole eggs, 2 to 4 egg whites, a piece of fruit, and maybe half an avocado. And the reason this can be so beneficial is a couple of things. Number one, the high protein and the high fat is going to keep you full and satisfied for a long period of time, which again can help you stick to your calories for the day. Number two, it's also going to give you good energy, mental focus, and clarity, which can help maybe in your profession or maybe fight off some of the boredom eating or the snacking. And number three, when you keep your carbs lower in the morning, your blood sugar usually stays more stable throughout the day, leading to less cravings, less hunger, and less energy crashes, which is good in and of itself, but also you usually have more willpower from that as well, which can help you stick to your calorie deficit. So look at how you're starting your day and make sure you're ticking off protein, lower carb, and moderate dietary fat. And this actually flows into our next lesson of what you should be trying to hit as a goal every day with your nutrition. Lesson 12, eat 2 to 4 of these foods per day. Now, thus far, we've talked a lot about calories, we've talked a lot about protein, but we haven't talked much about this one nutrient that I also want you to be mindful of and focus on. Because this nutrient, when you do not eat it, you're gonna have more cravings for junk food. You're more likely to snack throughout the day. You're going to be much hungrier, and it's just going to be very hard for you to lose weight. And that nutrient is going to be fiber. Fiber is a very slow digesting nutrient that keeps you full for a long period of time. And foods that are high in fiber are going to be one of your best friends when you're trying to make weight loss as easy as possible. It also helps with your digestion, which there have been recent studies to show better gut health and gut microbiome is also going to lead to better energy, better mood, and better brain health, which also makes it easier to stick to your calorie deficit. So you want to be shooting for at least 20 grams of fiber per day. But what are some high fiber foods? And what we encourage our clients to do is pick 2 to 4 of these foods that you are going to eat every single day to take out the guesswork and not have to think about it so you can know you're hitting your fiber goal per day. For example, my favorite high fiber foods I'm eating every single day are raspberries, blackberries, oats, and bananas. I eat those in the morning or the middle of the day, and I know I'm getting 30 grams of fiber if I'm eating those 4 foods. So pick yours and do it every single day. And now our next lesson, we talked about a bit earlier, but I want to circle back around to it because I think it's pretty important. Lesson 13, what happens when you spill water? Now, I know you might be thinking, Eric, what does this have to do with weight loss? But stick with me. I want you to think about what you do when you have a day or a weekend or a week where you're off track with your fitness. Because what most people do is say something like, well, I already fucked up my progress because I went off track, and since I ruined my progress, I might as well keep staying off track, and you let it spiral for days and weeks at a time, which that line of thinking is exactly like if you were pouring water into a glass and you happen to miss a little bit, so you just pour the rest all out. How much sense does that make? Not much. So let's stop doing that with your diet and fitness and realize if you have a meal or a day where you are a bit off track and you don't hit your goals, it's okay. Another way of thinking about this is if you got a flat tire in your car, would you slash the other 3 just because you had one flat tire? No. When, not if, because you're not going to be perfect, you go off track, you didn't ruin your progress. You need to just get right back on track after. Because I promise you, one meal off track isn't what ruins your progress. Thinking you ruin your progress and keep going off track, that's what actually ruins progress. And on that same note, our next lesson is going to talk also about how to not ruin your progress when maybe you're eating out or things aren't perfect. Lesson 14, how to stay on track when eating out at restaurants. It's one thing to stay on your diet when you're at home, you're cooking your own food. What did I just say? Food? You're able to meal prep. But what happens when you have to go out to eat at a restaurant? Or what happens if you go to a friend's barbecue? A lot of people make the mistake of doing something like this. Well, I can't be perfect, so I might as well say fuck it. Eat whatever I want, and I'll just get back on track on Monday. You don't have to do that, because here's a strategy that you can use to still keep your calories in check and still actually hit your goals while enjoying the foods that you like. And it's something called the 1 plate rule, and here's how this works. No matter what you eat, it has to fit on 1 plate. Because when you do this, you can only fit but so many calories on 1 plate, unless you're like stacking pancakes 10 high, which I might do. But I don't want you doing that. And if you want to take this a step further, make half of the plate veggies, make 1/4 of the plate protein, and make the other 1/4 of the plate some sort of carbohydrates. Because again, no matter where you are or no matter what you do, if you stick to 1 plate, half of it veggies, some protein and some carbs, you can only eat but so many calories. And remember, this isn't about being perfect or eating the perfect foods. This is about your overall calorie intake, like we talked about earlier. So setting up these boundaries will help you know that you're doing the right things and staying on track, and it will make you not feel like you're ruining all of your progress, which will make you feel like you're still on track, which will make you want to keep going and not just say F it. Which actually brings us into our next lesson, setting the right cardio goal. Now, I know you think that cardio is going to help you lose weight, and to an extent it does, but there are a few mistakes you should avoid and a few things you should implement when talking about cardio for weight loss. Number 1, avoid worrying about the high intensity cardio that you think you need to be doing to try to lose weight. And most people think this because they think, I need to be sweating and out of breath and almost dead if I want to lose fat. That is just simply not true. And actually, the best form of cardio that has helped one of our clients, Dan here, lose body fat, one of our clients, Nancy, lose a ton of body fat, and that helped me go from this to this right here, is hitting a daily step goal. And when I say daily steps, I truly just mean how many steps are you getting throughout the day. This doesn't even have to be dedicated walks. And with this, you may have even heard before, oh, you have to walk 10,000 steps per day for fat loss. And this is a mistake, and here's why. Is 10,000 steps a day good? Sure. But I'll be honest with you. I'm the fitness guy, and I barely even get 10,000 steps a day because I sit at a desk all day, writing emails, making these videos, coaching people, running my business. And if I had a goal to hit 10,000 steps every day, I would not be hitting that, and I would feel like a failure, which might also be happening to you as well. So instead of 10,000 steps or nothing, here's what I want you to do. Start off with a goal of 5,000 to 7,000 steps per day. Routinely shoot to hit that goal. And then when you can hit that goal with 90+% consistency for longer than 2 weeks, then maybe you go to 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day as a goal. And notice I'm giving you ranges because I don't like shooting just for one number, because then that plays into, unless you hit that one number, you're gonna feel like a failure. And trust me, hitting 9,400 steps per day or 8,600 steps per day instead of the exact 10,000, it's still gonna be very beneficial for your weight loss. Remember, something is always better than nothing. And speaking of exercise for weight loss, let's get to our next lesson. Lesson 16, how many times a week to lift weights to lose weight? A big mistake people make when they're trying to lose weight is actually working out too much. And I get it. You want to see faster progress, so you're in the gym working nonstop to try to speed up results. And while I can appreciate the effort you're putting in, it's actually backfiring on you, and here's why. Number one, you're not going to be able to stay consistent over the long run with working out 5, 6, 7 days a week for an hour or two at a time. And it's just like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth for 3 hours once a day. You brush your teeth for 2 minutes every day. At least I hope you do, because what you do consistently over time matters much more than what you can do intensely for a short period of time. And number two, working out this much creates a lot of fatigue, burnout, which then leads to you under recovering, which then leads to you having more cravings, more hunger, less energy, less willpower, and you just spiral in a negative way. So instead of trying to do the extremes, lifting weights 3 to 4 days a week is more than enough to see progress. And you don't have to work out for an hour each time. Working out for 30 to 60 minutes is again more than enough to make progress. As long as you have a good training program that is built in a science-backed way, you can get a lot done in 30 to 60 minutes, 3 to 4 days a week. And if you're like, well, Eric, how do I know what to do? Don't worry. There will be a free workout program in the description of this video you can download that I created. It's, again, totally free. And there's extra exercise technique videos that you can watch as well with it. So go get it. It'll help you out. And what's also going to help you out is our next lesson. Follow this mindful eating rule. Now for this rule, I wanted to sit down at my kitchen counter for a specific reason, because there's a mistake that people make with their nutrition I don't want you to make. We talked earlier about snacking leads to people going off track and overeating on their calories for the day. One of the main reasons that leads to that snacking is when you are up and about, either on a phone call, in between calls, you're trying to grab something before you have to take your kids somewhere, you're up about and just grabbing things, or you're eating out of containers. So instead, I want you to make a rule for yourself when it comes to eating. Everything you eat, you have to be sitting down at the table and you have to eat it off of a plate. I don't care what it is, because this will force you to be more mindful as opposed to grabbing handfuls here and there, which you don't think are a lot of calories, but 40 calories here, 70 calories here, 50 calories here, adds up throughout the day and throughout the week, and it's one of the reasons why you're not losing the weight you want to lose. So forcing yourself to sit down and eat off of a plate, you'll be mindful of your portion size, and you'll ask yourself if you really even need or want to eat what you're about to eat. Because again, most of the time you do it mindlessly. So this forces you to be more mindful with your nutrition, leading to you making better choices. In the same way, the next lesson leads you to be more mindful with your nutrition. If you're tracking calories, follow this rule. Here's how most people track their calories, and I'm getting out my phone. They try to track their calories as they eat. So if, let's say, for example, you just had breakfast and you had 2 eggs, you had some oatmeal, a banana, you are trying to track your calories as you eat. This is sometimes a flawed way of going about it because, number one, you might just get busy and forget, but number two, you end up just trying to wing it all day, and then you don't actually hit your calorie goal or your protein goal. And this causes frustration for you because you're doing the work, you're tracking the calories, but you're not actually hitting the goals, which means you're not seeing the progress and you feel like a failure. So to avoid all of this, here's what I want you to do. This is a hack that we use with our clients all the time, and they see great progress from it. The night before or the morning of, I want you to pre-track your calorie intake, and I'm pulling up my calorie tracker as it is. And by the way, this is actually the same calorie tracking app that I use. It's my own app that I built. If you want to check it out, there'll be a link in the description below. But let's say you're watching this video on Tuesday. Tuesday night, when you go to Wednesday, log and track your food that you're gonna eat tomorrow. Because this does a couple of things. Number one, it allows you to make sure that you can hit your calorie goal because you've pre-thought it out. And number two, it saves you a lot of time, energy, effort, and guesswork tomorrow because you don't have to sit there and wonder what you're gonna eat. You know exactly what you're gonna eat, and you know it's going to hit your calorie goal and your protein goal. And I would encourage you to do this at night when usually you're just scrolling on social media or watching Netflix. I'm not saying you can't do those things, but take 10 minutes to pre-log your food for the next day and just watch how much more progress you end up making with your weight loss. And now that you know all of these lessons, how can you make sure you actually implement it into your journey to see the progress you want to see? Well, you can either click the link in the description of this video for our online coaching options, or you can watch this video right here to check out my brutally honest advice on how to stick with your calorie deficit.